Chapter 3960. However, Juling didn't intend to continue the battle. After killing Coriander, he took a few steps and came to the side of the pit. Then, he jumped directly into the pit and disappeared. At this moment, everyone was shocked. Juling jumped directly into the pit. Was he looking for death? The pit was very dangerous. The Dark Pit Demon Mountain was a famous forbidden area in the primitive universe because of the pit. No one knew what was in the pit. No one knew how the pit was formed. They only knew that it was very terrifying and dangerous. In history, some powerful cultivators had entered the pit and wanted to explore it, but in the end, they didn't come out. None of the people who had entered the pit had ever come back out. But Juling jumped into the pit himself. Wasn't he looking for death? At this time, Lu Ming also arrived at the Dark Pit Demon Mountain. The Bone Demon sensed that Juling was at the top of the mountain. Lu Ming rushed to the top of the Dark Pit Demon Mountain. When he was halfway there, he saw Juling killing Coriander and then jumping into the pit. Damn it! Lu Ming shouted angrily. The ancient secret skill was still in Juling's body. Lu Ming was a little anxious and exerted his speed to the extreme. However, those who were watching in front of him blocked his way. Go away! Lu Ming hollered. His figure did not stop. He dashed toward the crowd, bringing about a violent airwave. Boy, who do you think you are? How dare you ask me to go away? Go away yourself. Someone saw that Lu Ming, who was just a quasi-emperor, was so arrogant. He was instantly displeased and wanted to give Lu Ming a slap. Bang! Lu Ming threw a punch. The person screamed and was sent flying, vomiting blood. The others were shocked. The person who had attacked Lu Ming just now was at the second Divine Emperor realm. However, he was not Lu Ming's match and was injured by Lu Ming's punch. They were shocked by Lu Ming's strength. Another monstrous genius wanted to climb the mountain. The surrounding people couldn't help but make way for him. It wasn't that they were afraid of Lu Ming. Among them, there were people with extremely high cultivation bases who weren't afraid of Lu Ming at all. They were just curious and wanted to see if Lu Ming could withstand the demonic tune of death and reach the peak. After reaching the top of the mountain, would he be able to compete with the remaining 7 people? This was what they wanted to see. Therefore, Lu Ming quickly stepped into the area enveloped by the demonic tune of death. When Lu Ming stepped into the area, a cacophony of voices rushed into Lu Ming's ears. This voice was mournful, disorderly, sharp, crazy. It was hard to describe the specific emotion, but it contained many different emotions. This kind of voice could drive people crazy. Those who were not mentally strong would instantly go crazy. Lu Ming's state of mind was extremely firm. His mind was empty of other things. He allowed these voices to enter his ears without any ripples in his heart. His speed almost did not decrease as he rushed towards the top of the mountain. However, the closer he got to the top of the mountain, the more terrifying the demonic tune was. In the end, the voice contained a terrifying energy attack. The cells in Lu Ming's body trembled, and the forbidden force spread all over his body, blocking the energy in the demonic tune of death. In the end, Lu Ming set foot on the top of the mountain, standing at the place where Coriander stood just now. Standing on the top of the mountain, there was a large pit in front of him. It was actually a cave, dark and unfathomable. Dense qi continued to seep out from the pit. Just one look at it was enough to make one feel a sense of terror in their hearts. Lu Ming's face was a little gloomy. Juling jumped into the pit. He couldn't follow him down, for the sake of an ancient secret technique. However, since he was here, Lu Ming decided to wait until he got a wisp of spiritual qi before leaving. On the top of the mountain, the other 7 people also looked at Lu Ming curiously. They had never seen such a young man with a quasi-emperor cultivation base, so they were naturally a little curious. Interesting, among them, there was a young man in purple armor with a head full of purple hair. He stared at Lu Ming, revealing a raging battle intent. Suddenly, he stepped out, and in a few flashes, he appeared in front of Lu Ming. A powerful aura pressed towards Lu Ming. Battle God Yuan is going to make a move. They are both quasi-emperors. He must be itching for a fight. Battle God Yuan is almost invincible in the same realm. Now that he saw an unfamiliar quasi-emperor genius, it would be strange if he didn't make a move. There were bursts of exclamations all around. Battle God Yuan won. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed slightly, and battle intent involuntarily appeared in his eyes. This was the battle intent that was involuntarily aroused when encountering a powerful opponent. Because Battle God Yuan won was worthy of Lu Ming's battle intent, although the Battle God Yuan won was only a quasi-emperor. However, Battle God Yuan won was too famous. The first in the top 100 quasi-emperor list. He was a peerless genius of the Battle Saint tribe, one of the top 10 tribes. He was known as the #1 talent of the Battle Saint tribe. He had always been invincible in the same realm. No one was a match for him. Without a doubt, he was also one of the candidates of the Universe Prodigy list. Although he hadn't broken through to the Godly Emperor realm, no one doubted whether he could break through to the Godly Emperor realm. Breaking through to the Godly Emperor realm was a certainty. Even entering the Universe Prodigy list in the future was also a certainty. It was also very likely that he would enter the top 10. Although such a character was only a quasi-emperor, his name had already shaken the universe. Lu Ming had also heard of him long ago. In the face of such a character, Lu Ming's battle intent was also ignited. Battle God Yuan one could be said to be standing at the peak of the quasi-emperors in the entire primitive universe. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to call him the #1 quasi-emperor expert. Lu Ming wanted to know if his forbidden body was stronger or if Battle God Yuan one was stronger. Boom! A powerful aura erupted from Lu Ming's body and collided with Battle God Yuan Wen's aura. The void trembled violently. The void was compressed by a terrifying force, distorting and shattering it. Interesting, interesting. I can feel that you are very strong. There are indeed crouching tigers and hidden dragons in the primitive universe. There is actually someone like you among the quasi-emperors. Good, very good. Battle God Yuan Wen nodded repeatedly, revealing a look of excitement. The Battle Saint tribe was a battle maniac. They loved to fight big battles, and also loved to find other geniuses to fight. Battle God Yuan Wen was even more battle-hungry than ordinary Battle Saint tribe members. I have heard of your name, Battle God Yuan Wen. You are said to be invincible among those of the same realm. Coincidentally, I have never met a worthy opponent among those of the same realm. I hope you won't disappoint me. Lu Ming said. The cells in his body trembled slightly. Lu Ming was speaking the truth. However, in the ears of others, Lu Ming was too arrogant. What big words! Do you think you are invincible after reaching the peak of the Dark Pit Demon Mountain? Do you think you are invincible among those of the same realm? Someone sneered and mocked. Chapter 39:61. Lu Ming's words attracted a lot of ridicule. They thought that Lu Ming was too arrogant to compare himself to the Battle God Yuan Wen. He even faintly did not put the Battle God Yuan Wen in his eyes. He was too arrogant. In the universe, at least so far, among the quasi-emperors, there was no one who was qualified to talk to the Battle God Yuan Wen like this. Lu Ming ignored the ridicule of others. His attention was all on the Battle God Yuan Wen. Before the fight even started, the Battle God Yuan Wen had already brought some pressure to him. Lu Ming had never encountered this before. Ha ha ha, I hope your strength is as strong as your confidence. I also want to say something in your words, that is, I hope you won't let me down. The Battle God Yuan Wen laughed. As soon as his voice fell, his aura had reached its peak. Boom! The Battle God Yuan Wen suddenly took a step forward. The ground roared. His person was like a mountain, rushing towards Lu Ming. He threw out a punch. The purple divine power boiled and turned into a terrifying fist energy, crushing towards Lu Ming. Good! Lu Ming let out a long howl and similarly threw a punch. Lu Ming did not borrow the power of Chochio. It was all his own power. The opponent was at the same level as him. If he borrowed the power of Chochio, he would not be able to survive. His belief of being invincible would be shaken. Boom! The two terrifying fist energies collided in the air, causing the void to tremble. The middle of the collision turned into chaos. The fist energy was like a wave, sweeping in all directions. However, it dissipated into nothingness 100 meters away. Lu Ming and the Battle God Yuan Wen retreated at the same time. Good, good. I won't test you anymore. Take this, Battle 18 strikes. The Battle God Yuan Wen roared. His figure flashed and struck out. The space collapsed. He used a terrifying secret technique, bursting out a terrifying killing power, and attacked Lu Ming. The destructive power surged towards Lu Ming like a tide. Great divine wind technique, great shattering technique. Lu Ming's heart moved. The two ancient secret techniques were activated. He attacked continuously, causing a hideous crack to appear in the void. The two figures were like two planets, colliding fiercely. All kinds of attacking techniques clashed continuously. Boom, 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 boom. Between heaven and earth, there was a violent roar. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had exchanged dozens of blows, but it was difficult to determine the victor. Impressive, impressive. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He couldn't help but exclaim in his heart. At this moment, he had already activated the battle symbol formula to increase his combat power by 5 times. But he still couldn't do anything to Battle God Yuanwen. The Battle God Yuanwen also had a terrifying secret art. It was an innate secret art of the Battle Saint tribe and was able to erupt forth with combat prowess several times stronger than before. It was somewhat similar to the battle character art. This was Lu Ming's first time encountering such a powerful genius in a battle of the same level. 6 times, Lu Ming bellowed in his heart. The fight incantation had increased his combat ability by 6 times. His combat ability had increased by a notch in an instant. Haha, impressive. Attack. The battle god Yuan was even more excited. His attacks suddenly changed. They were incomparably sharp and stronger than before. Could it be the origin ancient word? Lu Ming's heart moved. Although the quantum art wasn't with him and Lu Ming couldn't sense whether the other party had the origin ancient word or not, he had been controlling the origin ancient word for a long time. In the battle with the battle god Yuan, he vaguely felt that the other party had also controlled the origin ancient word. With the battle god Yuan's talent, it was normal for him to control the origin ancient word. The attacks of the two were even more terrifying. The battle was even more intense. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had exchanged more than 100 blows. Everyone in the surroundings was dumbfounded, including the other 6 terrifying creatures on the top of the demon mountain. They were all dumbfounded, because the attacks of Lu Ming and the battle god Yuan were too terrifying. Was this still a battle between quasi-emperors? The most important thing was that someone could fight with the battle god Yuan like this? Who was this person? Was there such a person in the primitive universe? Quick, open the Dreamy Divine Jade and broadcast the battle to the Dreamy Divine Jade. Someone shouted. The others woke up from their dream and quickly took out the Dreamy Divine Jade to broadcast the battle live. In the public area of the Dreamy Divine Jade, several messages appeared almost at the same time. Shocking. The battle god Yuan has met an opponent. Shocking. At the same level, someone can fight Yuan to a draw. The battle god Yuan's opponent is here. The continuous messages detonated the Dreamy Divine Jade and the entire universe. In an instant, countless people watched the battle between Lu Ming and the battle god Yuan through the Dreamy Divine Jade. At first, many people didn't believe it. They didn't believe that someone could fight with the battle god Yuan, but after watching the live broadcast, they were shocked. It was actually true. God, who is this person? He can actually fight with the battle god Yuan. There is actually such a genius in the universe. I haven't seen him before. This person is most likely hiding his true appearance. It's a pity that I'm not at the scene. Otherwise, I can judge who he is through his life origin aura. What a terrifying battle power. In the future, there will be another strong competitor in the top 10 of the universe prodigy list. The universe was in an uproar. After all, the battle god Yuan was known as the number 1 among his peers and dominated the entire universe. The appearance of such a character would definitely attract attention. As long as he didn't die halfway, his future rise was certain. At this moment, many geniuses in the universe were alarmed. For example, the geniuses on the universe prodigy list were paying attention with a dignified look. Because such a character would definitely have an impact on their status in the future, they naturally had to pay more attention. Lu Ming didn't know that he had attracted the attention of countless people in the universe. At this moment, Lu Ming was wholeheartedly immersed in the battle. He only felt incomparably carefree. He had never fought with someone of the same level so happily. This was a completely different feeling from fighting with someone of a higher level. Boom! With a violent explosion, the two of them retreated rapidly and faced each other from afar. Awesome! Battle God Yuan Wan was the same as Lu Ming. He also felt incomparably carefree. He was so excited that his body was trembling. The power you control is terrifying. You can actually fight against my battle saint force. Come, let's continue the battle. I want to borrow your strength to step into the deity emperor realm, Battle God Yuanwen said. His eyes were shining brightly. That's exactly what I want, Lu Ming said. Every cell in his body was trembling. His eyes were filled with excitement and battle intent. The power controlled by the battle god Yuan wasn't to be underestimated. It was a terrifying power called the Battle Saint Force. This power was unique to the Battle Saint tribe. However, even in the history of the Battle Saint tribe, there were very few people who could control this power. Everyone who could control this power was a hero of their generation. Chapter 39:62. Battle God Yuanwen was the only one among the younger generation of the Battle Saint tribe who had grasped the Battle Saint Force. Of course, it didn't mean that the Battle Saint Force could really contend against the Taboo Force. The reason why Battle God Yuanwen and Lu Ming were evenly matched was because other than the Battle Saint Force, Battle God Yuanwen also had the God Force. The God Force that had awakened the Origin Source God Force multiple times, coupled with the Origin Source secret technique, was boundless. Furthermore, he had the secret technique that was compatible with his Battle Saint body. It could be said that Battle God Yuanwen was very comprehensive in all aspects, with almost no weaknesses. There was another important reason, and that was that Lu Ming's Taboo Force had yet to reach its peak. There was still a lot of potential for it to grow. Each of Lu Ming's cells could fuse with a secret technique rune. When Lu Ming's cells fused with more secret technique runes, his Taboo Force would naturally become stronger. Right now, Lu Ming's Taboo Force wasn't strong enough. Therefore, it seemed that he was evenly matched with the Battle Saint Force. Both of their eyes were filled with fighting spirit. In the next moment, the two of them turned into two streaks of light and clashed once again. All kinds of secret techniques collided in the void. The two of them used their full strength, erupting their techniques to the extreme. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had exchanged over 100 moves. Lu Ming didn't plan to use the Gale Pearl because someone like Battle God Yuanwen would definitely have a powerful killing weapon. It would be useless even if he used it. Moreover, it was a fair battle. There was no need to use the Gale Pearl. As for the Bingxian Rod, there were so many people watching. Lu Ming would not use it as much as possible. As for Battle God Yuanwen, he had a similar thought. He naturally had a terrifying killing weapon, but he and Lu Ming were having a fair battle. If he used his killing weapon, then he wouldn't be Battle God Yuanwen. In fact, their killing weapons were only used when their cultivation base was much higher and their lives were in danger. It could be considered a kind of trump card. Around the dark pit Devil Mountain, in various parts of the universe, the people who were watching through the illusory heavenly jade were all silent. They were all watching this peak battle between quasi-emperors. For a quasi-emperor to be able to erupt in a battle of this level, it was hard to come across such a scene even in countless years. Every single one of these characters could suppress an era. For two of them to appear at the same time in an era was too difficult, too rare. They had only been heard of in legends. The battle between Lu Ming and the Battle God Yuan became more and more intense. Bang! Lu Ming's palm landed on Battle God Yuanwen's shoulder. The power of the Great Godly Wind technique and the Great Shattering technique almost dislocated Battle God Yuanwen's entire arm. However, his battle sacred body was extremely powerful. It forcibly blocked the attack, but blood still flowed out. His blood was purple and emitted divine light. When Lu Ming hit Battle God Yuanwen, Battle God Yuanwen's finger was like a sword. The full power of the Battle 18 strikes erupted, turning into a terrifying penetrating power that penetrated Lu Ming's abdomen in one fell swoop. A bloody hole appeared in Lu Ming's abdomen, and blood was also flowing out. Lu Ming's blood, mixed with the purple blood of the Battle God Yuanwen, spilled on the dark pit Demon Mountain, and some spilled into the dark pit. Awesome again. That's exactly what I want. The two continued to fight. After a few moves, both of them were injured again. Divine blood drifted out, but the two of them did not seem to feel it. Their fighting spirit became stronger and stronger, and their eyes became brighter and brighter. Lu Ming and Battle God Yuan Wen's cultivation were originally at the limit of the Quasi-Emperor realm. They both needed an opportunity to break through and step into the Divine Emperor realm. At this moment, the two of them saw this opportunity in each other at the same time. They felt that they were not far away from the breakthrough. The more they fought, the more condensed their essence, qi, and spirit became. Are they about to break through? There were 6 other powerful existences at the peak of the Dark Pit Demon Mountain. No matter what their cultivation was, they were all monstrous figures. Otherwise, they would not have been able to set foot on the peak of the Dark Pit Demon Mountain. They were the closest to Lu Ming and Yuan Wan. They could clearly feel that the two of them were about to break through. If the two of them really broke through in the battle, it would probably create a legend in the primitive universe and become a topic of conversation after dinner. However, at this moment, something strange happened. Rumble. In the dark pit, a violent roar suddenly came from an unknown depth. Everyone's face changed wildly. What's going on? Is the pit going to erupt? Impossible. It's not the time to erupt at all. In the Dark Pit Demon Mountain, there were cries of horror. The Dark Pit Demon Mountain was a terrifying forbidden area in the universe. Once the pit really erupted, none of them on the Dark Pit Demon Mountain would be able to leave. Rumble. A violent roar sounded again, and then a terrifying force erupted from the pit. Then, a figure rushed out of the pit. It was Juling. Juling had jumped into the pit himself, but at this moment, he was rushed out. Was the vibration just now caused by Juling? What did Juling encounter in the pit? Also, he jumped into the pit and came out alive? There was an uproar at the scene. He was the first person to enter the pit and come out alive. Countless people wanted to know what Juling encountered in the pit, but at this moment, 2 dazzling rays of light rushed out of the pit. One was blood red, and the other was purple crystal clear. The 2 rays of light entangled together and turned into a light shield, enveloping the surroundings of the pit. Lu Ming, Battle God Yuan Wan, and the other 6 powerful existences, plus Juling, were all shrouded in the rays of light. As for the other people on the Dark Pit Demon Mountain, they were not shrouded, but the rays of light blocked their vision, making them unable to see what was happening inside. The illusory heavenly jade could not illuminate the situation inside. At this moment, whether it was the people on the Dark Pit Demon Mountain or the people watching through the illusory heavenly jade, they were all confused. What happened? Why would 2 rays of light rush out and shroud the peak of the Dark Pit Demon Mountain? They couldn't guess. Rumble. The people outside saw that the light shield formed by the purple-red rays of light was constantly vibrating and emitting a roar. The people inside are bombarding the light shield. Could it be that they can't come out? Someone guessed. Obviously, they guessed right. After a period of time, no one rushed out. Outside, there were bold people who tried to control the divine weapon to attack the purple-red light shield. But when the divine weapon approached the purple-red rays of light, the divine weapon was like ice meeting fire and directly melted. The others were scared and hurriedly moved away, not daring to approach. Could it be the Qingcheng domain? In the illusory heavenly jade, someone sent out a message with a little doubt. Then, someone recognized that the speaker was a mighty figure from the Blood Clan, one of the top 10 clans. This caused everyone to be shocked. Even the powerful figures of the top 10 races were alarmed by this matter. Chapter 39:63. King Realm? What's that? Immediately, many people raised their doubts, because they had never heard of it before. I'm just guessing. I'm not sure. The Blood Tribe expert said, That's right. This is the King Realm. At the next moment, someone spoke out and gave a definite answer. Someone recognized that the person who spoke was an ancient existence from the Buddha tribe. The Buddha tribe was also one of the top 10 tribes. The existence who spoke was a legendary figure who had lived for a long time. Many people were shocked. It was just a fight between 2 juniors, but it actually attracted such a powerful existence. It was really terrifying. Senior, Can you tell us what the King Realm is? Someone asked. The King Realm would only appear occasionally in some very ancient places. For example, the Dark Pit Demon Mountain is an extremely ancient forbidden land. If I'm not wrong, it's the divine blood of the two young geniuses that activated the King Realm. Their talents are too strong. The ancient existence from the Buddha tribe explained. Everyone was shocked. Even the ancient existence from the Buddha tribe side. The two young geniuses' talents were too strong. This was the greatest recognition. At the same time, they were also enlightened. It turned out that the purplish-red light shield was caused by the battle between the two young geniuses. It was stimulated by the divine blood of the two young geniuses. No wonder the color was purplish-red. Lu Ming's blood was red, while battle god Yuanwen's blood was purple. However, no one said anything. They were waiting for the ancient existence from the Buddha tribe to explain. The ancient existence from the Buddha tribe continued. Once the King Realm is activated, the group of people with the strongest talents will be enveloped and trapped inside. Only the strongest among them will be able to come out. What? Only the strongest of those trapped inside can come out. Doesn't that mean that most of the people trapped inside will die? Everyone was shocked. That's right. This rule is very cruel. The people inside will have to kill each other. The winner will be the king. Therefore, it's called the King Realm. Those who come out alive will be the strongest king. The ancient existence from the Buddha tribe said. CSISI. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. This time, many big tribes were alarmed and it caused a huge uproar. Because these big tribes had peerless geniuses inside. For example, the Battle Saint tribe, the Sun Moon tribe, the Azura tribe, among these people, only the strongest could come out. Didn't that mean that everyone else had to die? Among the people here, who could be called the strongest? Was Battle God Yuanwen the strongest at the same level? However, there was still the person who fought against the battle god, Yuanwen. Was his cultivation the strongest? There were quite a few of them with extremely high cultivation bases. Wouldn't that mean that someone like the battle god, Yuanwen, would fall inside? In the King Realm, there are usually great restrictions. For example, it is difficult to use powerful weapons, and the cultivation will be suppressed to a certain level. As for the details, each King Realm is different, so I don't know. That ancient existence from the Buddha race added. Lu Ming, battle god Yuanwen, and Yin Juling stood in different directions in the area covered by the purple-red light shield. Their faces were gloomy. In the beginning, they were indeed a little flustered and attacked the purple-red light barrier. However, they were all extraordinary people and quickly calmed down. Do any of you know what is going on? Battle god Yuanwen asked. Although he wanted to continue fighting with Lu Ming and break through completely, in the face of such a situation, they could only stop fighting. I don't know. You have to ask Yin Juling, said a ferocious-looking young man who was about 30 years old, looking at Yin Juling. That young man was from the Azura clan. He was older than Lu Ming, Yin Juling, and battle god Yuanwen, but he was still a young man. His cultivation base was very high, reaching the 5th godly emperor layer. Besides, he was also a terrifying genius. Otherwise, no matter how high his cultivation base was, he wouldn't have been able to reach the top of the Dark Pit Demon Mountain. The others also looked at Yin Juling because Yin Juling had jumped into the pit, and then there was a change. If it wasn't caused by Yin Juling, who else could it be? In fact, even Lu Ming thought so. Yin Juling's eyes were ferocious, like two pitch-black vortexes filled with murderous qi. After a short while, his qi had become even more terrifying. He had broken through to the 3rd godly emperor layer. It's the King Realm. It's not caused by that boy. At that moment, Gumo's voice resounded in Lin Fan's mind. What's the King Realm? Asked Lu Ming curiously. Look at the illusory godly jade. Some old guys in the universe should be able to recognize it. Maybe someone will give you an explanation. Said Gumo immediately. Lu Ming took out the illusory godly jade. The illusory godly jade wasn't isolated, so he could still see what the others were talking about. In fact, battle god Yuanwen and the others also took out their illusory godly jades and wanted to ask their elders. Then, they saw the explanation of the powerful cultivator of the Buddha clan. After reading it, they were shocked and released a powerful qi. They looked at the others vigilantly. What's going on? My cultivation base is only at the first godly emperor layer. My cultivation base is also at the first godly emperor layer. Damn it, some people shouted angrily, especially the young genius of the Azura clan. His face was even more ferocious. Originally, among the 9 people here, his cultivation was the most outstanding. There was only one person who could stand shoulder to shoulder with him. On top of that, with his talent, he was confident that he could keep all of them here. Battle God Yuanwen was strong, but he was only at the first emperor layer, so he didn't take him seriously. But now, his cultivation base was at the first godly emperor layer. He didn't have an advantage anymore. The others, regardless of their cultivation level, were all at the first godly emperor layer. First godly emperor layer? Whispered Lu Ming. He was at the first godly emperor layer, so his cultivation level couldn't be increased, so he didn't feel anything. I can't even use powerful weapons. Look at the Zephyr Pearl and the Shin Ice Rod. Lu Ming tried to control the Shin Ice Rod and the Zephyr Pearl, but he realized that there was no reaction at all. It was as if the connection between them had been cut off. Lu Ming's heart sank. He couldn't use powerful weapons. Only the strongest cultivators could get out of here. Lu Ming wasn't completely confident. First of all, Battle God Yuanwen was extremely difficult to deal with. Besides, the other 7 geniuses were also terrifying. Even if there wasn't a genius like Battle God Yuanwen, the weaker ones were also terrifying. For example, Enjieling, who was a candidate for the Universe Young Geniuses list. Those people were also terrifyingly strong. They were all at the first godly emperor layer. Lu Ming and Battle God Yuanwen didn't have an advantage because their cultivation levels weren't high enough. Instead, they were at a disadvantage. Chapter 3964. The peak of the dark pit demon mountain suddenly fell into silence. Only Enjieling occasionally roared. The other 8 people looked at each other and saw a strong murderous intent in each other's eyes. If they wanted to leave alive, they had to get rid of the others. Interesting, really interesting. It's so interesting to be able to get rid of so many geniuses at once. I will use you as my stepping stone to break through to the godly emperor realm. Battle God Yuanwen grinned, and his eyes were full of fighting spirit. At this time, he was still fighting like a madman. His aura seemed to have reached a critical point. Lu Ming's aura was also extremely powerful and had reached a peak. However, no one made the first move. They were all on guard against each other, waiting for the others to make the first move so that they could reap the benefits. The scene was in a stalemate. Roar. At this time, Enjieling roared again and jumped into the pit, as if something in the pit was attracting him. However, when he jumped into the pit, there was another powerful aura that rushed out of the pit and forced Enjieling out. This madman, I suggest that we make a move first and get rid of Enjieling so that he won't cause any more trouble. What do you think? The young man from the Shura clan said. This person was called Xiao Mayun, and he had been eyeing Enjieling since the beginning. Among the 9 people present, Lu Ming and Battle God Yuanwen were undoubtedly the strongest at the same level, but their cultivation was only at the quasi-emperor realm, so they were not the biggest threat to him. The biggest threat to him was Enjieling. After all, Enjieling was a candidate for the Universe Prodigy list. He was extremely powerful and was one of the top geniuses in the universe. His current cultivation was suppressed to the first godly emperor realm, just like him. He had no confidence to fight against Enjieling, so he had to get rid of Enjieling first. On the side, the others were also tempted. Their thoughts were similar to Xiao Mayun's. Kill. Xiao Mayun took the lead and condensed a Shura sword with his divine power. It broke through the void and slashed at Enjieling. Roar. Enjieling saw someone attacking him and roared, revealing a ferocious murderous intent. He pounced at Xiao Mayun with his sharp claws. Evil Enqi filled the air. Clang. Clang. The sound of metal colliding rang out continuously. The 2 of them had exchanged more than 10 moves in an instant. Then, a figure retreated, covered in blood. It was Xiao Mayun. After exchanging a few blows, he was injured. This made him extremely shocked. Enjieling's strength was much stronger than he had imagined. Roar. Enjieling roared and continued to attack Xiao Mayun. What are you waiting for? Xiao Mayun roared. However, none of the people on the side made a move. They all looked on coldly. It wouldn't be too late to let Injuling deal with Xiaomayun first. Moreover, Xiaomayun could consume a portion of Injuling's strength. Then, they would deal with Injuling. In this way, he could deal with the Xiaomoyun and Injuling at the same time. Of those who could make it this far, which one of them was simple? Xiaomayun wanted to use the others to deal with Injuling first, but the others directly used him. All of you deserve to die. Xiaomayun instantly guessed the thoughts of others and roared, but Injuling had already attacked him, so he could only do his best to resist. However, Injuling was too strong. He was originally a candidate of the Universe Prodigy list. After being possessed by the eviling energy, his battle strength became even stronger, and his attacks were crazily aggressive. Although Xiaomayun was also a peerless monster, he wasn't qualified to be a candidate of the Universe Prodigy list. In a battle of the same level, his battle strength was weaker than Injuling's. He was completely at a disadvantage and was suppressed by Injuling. After more than 10 moves, Xiaomayun was almost beheaded by Injuling. Although he narrowly avoided it, he was still seriously injured. Damn it, all of you deserve to die, then die together. Xiaomayun knew that he couldn't escape, so he roared crazily. His body swelled rapidly, and he was about to self-destruct. However, Injuling didn't seem to know, and continued to rush over. His sharp claws pierced through Xiaomayun's head. Boom! At this moment, Xiaomayun's body suddenly exploded, and a terrifying force swept in all directions. However, Lu Ming, Battle God Yuan 1, and the others were already prepared. They had already retreated to the edge of the Qingqing domain, and set up layers of defense in front of them, blocking the power of Xiaomayun's self-destruction. Injuling was at the center of Xiaomayun's self-destruction, so he suffered the most intense destructive impact. Peng! Injuling's figure retreated rapidly, and there were many hideous wounds on his body, and black blood flowed out. However, in the pit, Inchi was constantly attracted by Injuling, and it poured into his body. His wounds were quickly healing. The others' faces became solemn. This Injuling is not right. Could it be that he has gone mad? It's more terrifying than I imagined. Let's attack together and get rid of him first. It's best to attack together. The remaining few people were transmitting their voices to each other. The next moment, among the remaining 5 people, 4 rushed out at the same time and attacked Injuling. There was still one person who didn't attack. Lu Ming and Battle God Yuan didn't attack either. However, when the 4 experts joined forces, their power was extremely shocking. Because each of these people was a peerless genius, and each of them had the combat strength of a divine Emperor Realm expert. Roar! Injuling roared and pounced on the 4 people. The 2 sides started a fierce battle. The 4 experts joined forces to fight Injuling, and Injuling suddenly fell into a disadvantage. He was hit continuously, and there were several wounds on his body. Injuling was injured by Xiaomayun's self-destruction, and his combat strength wasn't at its peak. When the 4 experts saw that Injuling was injured, their attacks became more violent. At the same time, they were transmitting their voices to each other. Those 3 guys don't attack. Very well, after we kill Injuling, we will kill them, and then the 4 of us will fight to determine the winner. What do you think? Okay, it depends on who can go out in the end. The 4 discussed secretly, and their attacks were fierce. For a time, Injuling was in danger, and there were more and more wounds on his body. Lu Ming's eyes flickered, and he was considering whether to attack. Because the ancient secret skill left by the Bone Demon was with Injuling, and he had to get it. But in the end, Lu Ming still didn't attack. The current situation was very complicated, and it was better to preserve a little bit of strength. After more than 10 moves, Injuling's situation became more critical. His body was tattered, and it seemed that he was going to die at any time. Rumble. At this moment, there was a violent vibration from the bottom of the pit, and then, a strong yin qi rushed out of the pit. There were a few strands of yin qi in the yin qi. Chapter 3965. Among the yin qi, there were a few strands of yin qi. These strands of yin qi seemed to be alive, like small snakes that were swimming around. This was a yin energy that possessed spirituality. Originally, the dark pit would spew out dark Qi with spirituality. Previously, battle god Yuanwen and the others had been guarding here, waiting for the dark Qi to come out. At this moment, seeing the Qi spurt out, the people present were not too surprised. At this moment, being alive was more important than anything else. Only a few of them dashed forward and grabbed at the murderous aura. They were Lu Ming, battle god Yuanwen, and Yin Jiuling. Yin Jiuling roared and rushed to the pit desperately. He opened his mouth and inhaled, and the Qi rushed towards Yin Jiuling. Lu Ming and battle god Yuanwen's face changed. Swish! Lu Ming condensed a huge hand with his taboo power. With a grab, he caught a wisp of Qi with spirituality in his hand. Battle god Yuanwen shot out 2 beams of light from his eyes. These 2 beams of light were like 2 chains, entangling the Qi and collecting it. 4 strands of spiritual Qi were collected by Lu Ming and battle god Yuanwen, and the remaining 2 strands were sucked into Yin Jiuling's mouth. However, Yin Jiuling absorbed the Qi wholeheartedly, but ignored his own defense, and was bombarded by the attacks of the 4 masters. Bang! Yin Jiuling's body directly exploded into pieces. Only his head was left. It flew out and was wrapped in dense evil Qi. At this moment, the Qi that rushed out of the pit suddenly rolled back and fell back into the pit. Yin Jiuling's head took the opportunity to rush into the Qi, and with the Qi, it rushed into the pit and disappeared in front of everyone in the blink of an eye. The 4 masters looked at each other with a pale face. Yin Jiuling was forced to rush into the pit, and they didn't know whether he was dead or not. If it was someone else, they would be relieved because they would never return after rushing into the pit. But Yin Jiuling had rushed down once before, but he came out safe and sound, so they were not confident. Who knew whether Yin Jiuling was dead or not? Forget it. Let's get rid of these 3 people first. Yes, Yin Jiuling only has 1 head left, and he is seriously injured. He probably won't survive. Let's get rid of them first, and then we will decide the winner. The 4 masters transmitted their voices to each other, and they glanced at Lu Ming, battle god Yuanwen, and another middle-aged man. Let's join forces. The middle-aged man's face changed wildly, and he quickly said, the reason why he didn't make a move before was that he wanted to sit on top of the mountain and watch the tigers fight, because he always felt that Yin Jiuling was very strange and wouldn't be killed so easily. He didn't expect that Yin Jiuling would be killed so easily. At this time, when he saw the 4 masters looking at them, he was shocked. It's too late. I'll send you to hell. 2 of the experts charged toward the middle-aged man while the other 2 charged toward Lu Ming and battle god Yuanwen in a flash. One of them, they were confident enough. Although Lu Ming and battle god Yuanwen were strong, they were all at the Divine Emperor realm. They could deal with Lu Ming and battle god Yuanwen. Kill. Let's fight. Lu Ming and battle god Yuanwen were fearless, and they roared and attacked. One of them against one. The 2 sides collided in an instant, and they continued to attack each other. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged more than 10 moves. However, their opponents were indeed powerful. Although they were suppressed to the 1st godly emperor layer, they were still able to kill cultivators of the 4th godly emperor layer. Although Lu Ming tried his best, he was still at a disadvantage, and he retreated quickly. On the other side, battle god Yuanwen also retreated quickly, and he was also at a disadvantage. Sure enough, those who could step on the dark pit demon mountain weren't simple. They weren't much weaker than Yin Jiuling. As soon as Lu Ming retreated, the other party chased after him and continued to attack him. Explode! Lu Ming shouted, and his whole body glowed. All the secret techniques turned into dazzling brilliance, covering Lu Ming's body. At the same time, the battle character formula increased his fighting strength by 6 times, and the Great Holy Wind technique and Great Shattering technique were activated to the extreme. Boom, boom, boom. Both sides exchanged more than 10 moves, and Lu Ming's chest was pierced by a sword chi. He coughed up blood and retreated. However, despite being injured, Lu Ming's eyes were still bright, and he had a firm and unyielding belief. There was only motivation when there was pressure. There was a sense of crisis, and there was more motivation. At this moment, he could not use his trump card, and even Qiu could not move. He could only rely on himself. Lu Ming was excited because the opportunity to break through was getting more and more obvious. Previously, when he fought with Battle God Yuan 1, he felt the opportunity to break through. He felt that he was only a step away from breaking through. At this moment, facing the crisis, this feeling was even stronger. Fight, fight. Let's fight to our heart's content. Come on. You don't seem to have any strength. Ha ha ha. On the other side, Battle God Yuan 1 also laughed, without a trace of fear. Instead, he was more excited. He also felt the opportunity to break through. At this moment, a shrill scream was heard. The middle-aged man, besieged by the two experts, screamed and died on the spot. After killing the middle-aged man, the two experts also pounced on Lu Ming and Battle God Yuan 1. In this way, it became 2 against 1. Originally, Lu Ming was facing one of them, and facing 2 of them was even more dangerous. Puff. Lu Ming's heart was pierced by a sword chi. Then, a terrifying fist force hit his abdomen. Lu Ming flew out, vomiting blood, and his body almost exploded. However, the potential stored in Lu Ming's cells gushed out crazily, and his injury was quickly healing. Soon, just a little bit more. Lu Ming's eyes were bright, and he was a little excited. In the face of a life-and-death crisis, his potential was stimulated to the extreme. Kill. Lu Ming shouted and took the initiative to attack the two experts. Bang, bang, bang. After a series of collisions, Lu Ming was injured again and was forced to retreat. Let's kill him in one go. Kill. After injuring Lu Ming, the two experts unleashed their ultimate moves and attacked Lu Ming, wanting to kill Lu Ming completely. But at this moment, boom, a violent aura rushed out of Lu Ming's body, like a volcanic eruption, bringing with it a violent burst of energy. Breakthrough. At this moment, Lu Ming finally broke through and stepped into the Divine Emperor realm. At the moment of breaking through to the Divine Emperor realm, the potential stored in Lu Ming's cells was stimulated to the extreme, and all of it was transformed into Lu Ming's cultivation. Hungry. In an instant, Lu Ming was engulfed by endless hunger, as if he had not eaten for 100,000 years. Incomparable hunger was revealed in every cell. Let me absorb it. With a thought in Lu Ming's mind, piles of elven tree heart flew out, and the surging life essence madly converged towards Lu Ming. Chapter 3966. A large pile of elvenwood hearts turned into surging waves of life essence and converged towards Lu Ming. Every cell in Lu Ming's body was crazily devouring and absorbing the life essence. Satisfaction. A sense of satisfaction spread throughout his body. Breakthrough. The two experts besieging Lu Ming were shocked. They did not expect that Lu Ming could break through under their joint attack. What kind of monster was he? Kill. We can't let him break through. One of them roared. Together with the other, they charged toward Lu Ming in a frenzy. When Lu Ming was still a quasi-emperor, his combat strength was already so terrifying. Once he broke through to the Divine Emperor realm, his combat strength would soar, and he would definitely be far above them. They must not let Lu Ming break through. Once Lu Ming broke through, they would be the ones to die. The two experts exerted their full strength and launched 2 incomparably sharp and terrifying attacks towards Lu Ming's head. Kill. Lu Ming suddenly shouted and violent energy swept out from his body, forming a terrifying shockwave. The two experts were hit by the shockwave, and their bodies shook violently as they retreated. Lu Ming seized the opportunity and continued to devour the life essence of the elven-wood hearts crazily. Break for me. On the other side, Battle God Yuan also roared, and a terrifying aura burst out from his body. Breakthrough. Battle God Yuan also broke through at the critical moment under the joint attack of the two experts. Dazzling gems appeared on his body. These gems weren't divine gems, they were precious gems that contained rich and pure energy. These energies were like a great river that rushed into the Battle God Yuan's mouth. The two experts were also shocked and wanted to attack Battle God Yuan, but they were also repelled by him. Lu Ming and Battle God Yuan broke through the shackles and entered the Divine Emperor realm one after another. Their aura became more and more terrifying. As for the 4 experts, their expressions were extremely ugly. Everyone, we have to go all out. If we don't, we'll be the ones to die. Go all out, kill, burn. The four experts revealed a frenzied look. The divine power in their bodies burned like flames. They went all out. Regardless of the consequences, they burned their divine power and origin and charged toward Lu Ming and the battle god Yuanwen. They had to kill the two of them. At this moment, they were filled with regret. If they had known earlier, they would have killed Lu Ming and the battle god Yuanwen from the very beginning. Previously, the two of them were only quasi-emperors. Although they were excessively monstrous, they did not take them to heart. They were fully confident that they could suppress Lu Ming. Who would have thought that the two of them could break through to the divine emperor realm in the middle of the battle? Now, the ones who will die are you. Lu Ming's eyes emitted an incomparably resplendent multicolored light. His entire body was shrouded in a fierce wind. Instead of retreating, he advanced and attacked the two experts. His palm was like a blade, shattering the void as he attacked continuously. Boom, boom. Lu Ming and the two experts exchanged blows, causing two violent explosions. Then, two muffled groans could be heard. The two experts were pushed back violently as blood spurted out from their bodies. Cracks appeared on their bodies, caused by the great shattering art. Blood flowed out from the cracks. After breaking through to the divine emperor realm, whether it was the great divine wind technique or the great shattering art, their power had increased tremendously. Moreover, Lu Ming had just broken through and had yet to gain a firm foothold in the divine emperor realm. Otherwise, he would have killed the two experts with that move. After all, the gap between the quasi-emperors and the divine emperors was huge. Once a breakthrough was made, one's combat strength would increase tremendously. Even so, Lu Ming's combat strength was above the two experts. Fight, fight, fight. On the other side, the battle god Yuanwen roared madly. His combat strength was unparalleled, causing the other two experts to vomit blood. How could this be? The four experts all revealed a panic-stricken expression. They were all geniuses of their generation, and their future was limitless. They did not want to die here. Looking at Lu Ming's cold eyes, they felt chills all over their bodies. Brother, why don't you spare our lives? We can cooperate and leave this place together. One of the young men shouted at Lu Ming and begged for mercy. Hee. Lu Ming replied with a cold smile. They wanted to kill him when they had the upper hand. Now that they were no match for him, they wanted to cooperate. How could that be possible? Lu Ming was not an easy person to talk to. Lu Ming took a step forward and continued to force his way toward the two experts. It's not that easy to kill us. You'll have to pay the price too. Let's fight. The two experts saw that Lu Ming was not going to let them go. They looked ferocious and went all out to attack Lu Ming. However, no matter how hard they tried, their cultivation was suppressed to the first divine emperor realm. They were at the same level as Lu Ming. Even though Lu Ming had just broken through, they were still far from him. After a few attacks, their bodies were almost torn apart. A dozen of their bones were broken. Let's die together. One of them went crazy. His body swelled up as if he was going to explode. Lu Ming quickly retreated. Boom. A terrifying explosion sounded as the man exploded. A terrifying strength swept in all directions. The destructive strength was not only aimed at Lu Ming, but also at the others, including the battle god Yuanwen and the other two experts. The explosion of such an expert was indeed terrifying. Lu Ming had retreated in time, but he was still injured. His chest and abdomen were in tatters, and many of his bones were broken. However, those injuries were nothing to Lu Ming. He was recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. On the other hand, the expert who besieged Lu Ming together with this person was not so lucky. He was directly engulfed by the destructive power and was blasted into smithereens. At the same time, the two experts who were fighting against the battle god Yuanwen were slightly further away, so they were less affected. However, they were also seriously injured. The battle god Yuanwen was also injured, but his injuries were much lighter. Battle 18 strikes. The battle god Yuanwen did not care about his injuries at all. As soon as he retreated, he attacked again. His fingers were like swords as he attacked continuously. Poof! The The two experts were already seriously injured and dispirited. At that moment, they could not block the attacks of the battle god Yuan. They were directly killed by the battle god Yuan. Now, only Lu Ming and the battle god Yuan were left on the peak of the dark pit demon mountain. Ha ha ha, in the end, only the two of us are left. Just nice. I can use you as a stepping stone to become an invincible king and break through the king realm. The battle god Yuan looked at Lu Ming. His battle intent was burning fiercely. At the same time, he was still absorbing the energy of the crystals to stabilize his divine emperor realm cultivation. Of course, Lu Ming was also absorbing the life essence of the elven wood heart to stabilize his cultivation. Chapter 39:67. Your words are exactly what I want to say. You are a rare opponent. I will go all out to make my name as invincible. Lu Ming said, Ha ha ha, you have confidence and strength. I like it. Since you are about to die in my hands, I still don't know your name. I want to see when someone like you appeared in the universe. Battle God Yuan said. To be honest, he had some sympathy for Lu Ming. At his level, it was too difficult to find a real opponent. Mu Yun. Lu Ming pondered for a moment and said the name Mu Yun. Mu Yun? Battle God Yuan revealed a thoughtful look and then said, Not long ago, the person who was in an uproar with the elf princess Ling Yue was also called Mu Yun. Could it be you? That's right. Lu Ming nodded. So it's you. It seems that everyone has underestimated you. Battle God Yuan said. After saying this, the two fell into silence. However, their auras became stronger and stronger. Like waves, they met in the middle and collided fiercely. Boom! The collision of auras was like a stormy sea. In the next moment, two figures rushed towards each other. The two peerless monsters once again fought together, pushing their combat strength to the peak. Battle 18 strikes. Great Godwind technique, great shattering technique, terrifying killing moves collided in the void. In an instant, the two had exchanged dozens of moves. After dozens of moves, the two retreated at the same time and stood on both sides of the pit, facing each other from a distance. The battle just now was still undecided. I really want to know what kind of power you control to be able to compete with my Battle Saint force? Battle God Yuan said, very curious. As long as you can defeat me, I will naturally tell you. Lu Ming said, very well, my curiosity will soon be realized. Battle God Yuan was still very confident. For example, geniuses like Lu Ming and Battle God Yuan had almost swept away all their opponents along the way. They had never met a worthy opponent at the same level and had developed the belief of being invincible. Even if they met an opponent now, they still had the belief of being invincible and believed that they could defeat their opponent. Their auras burst forth, and they were about to fight again. But at this moment, there was another change in the pit. With a loud explosion, a gust of yin qi rushed out. Along with this wave of yin qi, a figure rushed out. This figure was actually Yin Juling. Previously, Yin Juling only had his head left and rushed into the pit. But now, he had recovered and his body was intact. Furthermore, his aura was extremely terrifying. His entire body was covered in a dense, murderous aura. It was possible to see the murderous aura slithering in and out of his mouth and nose like tiny snakes. His appearance was extremely strange. Kill. Yin Juling landed next to the sinkhole and immediately let out a roar. He clapped his palms consecutively, and a strong, evil aura rushed out of his palms, turning into two pitch-black pythons that bit toward Lu Ming and Fighting God Yuan respectively. The Yin Qi whistled, bringing with it a terrifying might, giving Lu Ming a sense of crisis. Boom! Lu Ming's palm was like a knife, slashing with all his strength. It collided with the python's head, and there was a violent explosion. Suddenly, Lu Ming felt a cold and terrifying force rushing towards Lu Ming. Even the forbidden force could not completely block it. Lu Ming's body retreated rapidly. A layer of black qi appeared on the surface of his body. This time, the black qi was extremely strange, as if it was going to corrode Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's body shook and the forbidden force in his cells burst out, shaking off the black qi. On the other side, Battle God Yuan was not much better. He was also repelled by the python. No, Jiling's state is not right, Battle God Yuanwen shouted. He also found that Battle God Yuanwen's state was extremely strange, as if he was possessed by the devil. Moreover, in the king realm, their cultivation was suppressed to the first divine emperor layer. However, Jiling was extremely terrifying. He repelled Lu Ming and Battle God Yuanwen with one move. Was Jiling so strong? Impossible. In the entire primitive universe, no one at the same level could defeat the two of them in one move. He is no longer Jiling. He has been possessed by the evil Qi. Lu Ming said, he has been possessed by the evil Qi with spiritual intelligence? Is there such a thing? No wonder. No wonder he could come out alive after entering the sewer. Battle God Yuanwen suddenly realized. Jiling was no longer an ordinary creature. It could be said that he had evil Qi, so he could come out alive from the sewer. Die, die. While Lu Ming and Battle God Yuanwen were talking, Jiling roared and launched an attack on Lu Ming and Battle God Yuanwen. Jiling had swallowed a lot of evil Qi in the sewer. Even if his cultivation was suppressed to the first divine emperor layer, he was still very terrifying. With a wave of his hand, the sky was full of evil Qi. The dense evil Qi between heaven and earth was also driven and turned into a terrifying attack, attacking Battle God Yuanwen. He's mine, Battle God Yuanwen shouted. His body was shrouded in purple divine light as he attacked Jiling. He used his divine power to condense a purple halberd and used the halberd to perform the War 18 strikes, launching a fierce attack. The Battle 18 strikes of the Battle Saint tribe was an extremely terrifying secret technique. It could perfectly combine with the bloodline of the Battle Saint tribe, the Battle Saint body, and the Battle Saint force of the Battle Saint tribe. It was very mysterious, and there was no fixed technique. Every member of the Battle Saint tribe could practice it, but what they comprehended was different, and the power was also very different. The Battle 18 strikes of the Battle God Yuanwen was undoubtedly very powerful. When the halberd struck down, heaven and earth trembled. Jiling is my prey. I came here because I was chasing him. Lu Ming also shouted coldly. He jumped up and attacked Jiling. All kinds of secret runes in his cells shone and turned into a dazzling light, forming a mysterious attack power that crushed Jiling. Boom, boom. The three experts started a peak battle. In the battle domain, terrifying rumbling sounds could be heard. Fortunately, this scene was isolated by the Battle King domain. Otherwise, it would definitely shake the entire universe. At this moment, Jiling was so terrifying that it was a little strange. Lu Ming and Battle God Yuanwen joined forces, but they could only suppress him by a little. If they were alone, they might not be his opponent. What exactly is this baleful Qi that has its own consciousness? It's just a possession. How can it be so terrifying? Lu Ming secretly asked Bone Demon. He was really shocked. It was just a wisp of baleful Qi that had its own consciousness, but it actually made Jiling so terrifying that he could fight against his taboo force and the Battle Saint force of Battle God Yuanwen. It didn't make sense. Moreover, Lu Ming also thought of another problem. The Heavenly Palace asked everyone to collect the baleful Qi to register. They definitely had to collect the baleful Qi. This showed that the baleful Qi was somewhat extraordinary. Chapter 3968. Even the Heavenly Palace was collecting Qi with spirituality. What was the secret behind this? You're right. Once the Qi has spirituality, it's very extraordinary. It's very likely that it's related to a terrifying place? Guamo said. What terrifying place? Lu Ming asked. Dark Universe. Guamo said. Dark Universe? What's that? Lu Ming was curious. He had never heard of a dark universe. As for what it is, you will definitely know when you become a heavenly soldier. You will most likely come into contact with it personally. Even if I explain it now, you won't understand. Guamo said. Lu Ming could only suppress the curiosity in his heart and continue to fight with Jiling. The three of them fought fiercely. However, Lu Ming and Battle God Yuanwen teamed up and eventually gained the upper hand and slowly suppressed Jiling. Boom. After hundreds of moves, Lu Ming hit Jiling's head. Bang. A large part of Yinjiuling's head exploded and was full of cracks. However, with the Yin Qi running, Yinjiuling's head was quickly healing. However, there was still a bone bead that flew out from the place where it exploded. This was the bone bead left by Guimo, which sealed the ancient secret technique and other demon secret techniques. Previously, Guimo had sensed that the bone bead was in Yinjiuling's left head. Therefore, Lu Ming specifically targeted Yinjiuling's head. After hundreds of moves, Lu Ming finally seized the opportunity and blasted the bone bead out. The bone bead flew out and was caught by Lu Ming. Finally got it. Lu Ming showed a hint of joy and kept the bone bead in his storage ring. Roar. Yinjiuling let out an angry roar. The Yin Qi around the pit was controlled by him and rushed toward Lu Ming and battle god Yuanwen like waves. The reason why Yinjiuling was so strong was related to the environment here. Around the Dark Pit Demon Mountain, especially the peak of the Dark Pit Demon Mountain, the Yin Qi was too strong. Yinjiuling was like a fish in water here, and could exert 120% of his strength. Boom, boom. Lu Ming and battle god Yuanwen unleashed their killer moves, breaking through the layers of Yin Qi and attacking Yinjiuling. The three of them started fighting again. The battle between the three grew more intense. In the blink of an eye, another 200 moves had been exchanged. At this point in the battle, the three of them were all covered in blood, all of them injured. Purple blood, bright red blood, pitch black blood, 3 types of blood spilled out. The 3 strongest demonic geniuses fought each other crazily. Boundless energy had already accumulated in this region. Wong. All of a sudden, the King Chung domain around the ditch shook violently. Outside, around Demon Mountain, many living beings who were watching suddenly became excited. The King realm is about to break. The cruel battle inside is about to end. Who will be able to come out alive? Is it the prodigy of the Azura clan or Yinjiuling? Or is it the battle god Yuanwen and that mysterious demon? I don't know what kind of cultivation level will be suppressed in the king's domain. If it's suppressed to the godly emperor layer, then the battle god Yuanwen and that mysterious genius will die. If that's really the case, then it's a pity. Those 2 peerless geniuses, the scene was filled with discussions. Many people were broadcasting the battle to the entire universe through the illusory divine jade. Countless people were watching the purple and red King Chung domain nervously. Many of the major clans were extremely nervous because they had demonic geniuses inside. If they couldn't come out alive, it would be a great loss. Especially the Battle Saint tribe, they were the most nervous. The battle god Yuanwen's talent was too high. Even in the vast history of the Battle Saint tribe, he was one of the top geniuses. Once he reached the major success stage in the future, he would become a terrifying overlord of the universe, a character that could suppress an era. The strength of the Battle Saint tribe would also become stronger, suppressing the other top 10 tribes. If such a character died inside, it would be a pity. It would be an inestimable loss. Many of the major figures of the Battle Saint tribe were staring at the King Cheng domain through the illusory divine jade. The Sun Moon clan, Azura clan, and other clans were also doing the same. Wong. Wong. The King Chung domain vibrated more and more violently. Suddenly, with a loud boom, it exploded, turning into a rain of light and dissipating. When the King domain exploded, 3 figures flew out and continuously exchanged blows in the air. Boundless energy swept out in all directions, creating a terrifying scene. Someone is fighting. 3 people. Why are there 3 people? Didn't they say that only the strongest King Realm cultivators could come out? The scene was in an uproar. Even the ancient existence of the Buddha clan was stunned. Obviously, he didn't expect such a situation. Generally speaking, only the strongest King Realm cultivator could escape from the King Chung domain and become an invincible king. Why are there 3 people coming out now? Who are they? Many people stared at them. Slowly, the rain of light dissipated and they found out who the 3 people were. It's the battle god Yuanwen and Yinjiuling. The third one is that mysterious demonic genius. What a terrifying aura. The aura of the battle god Yuanwen and the mysterious demonic genius have both reached the divine emperor realm. They broke through in such a short time. What's even more astonishing is that they joined hands to fight against Yinjiuling. How can Jilin be so terrifying? When the three people were discovered, the entire universe was astonished. First of all, the battle god Yuan and Lu Ming had broken through. Then, the two of them joined hands to fight against Jilin. That was even more astonishing. How could Jilin be so strong? Damn it! Damn it! Shouted the strong cultivators of the Azura clan and the other clans. Their geniuses hadn't come out yet, so they must have died. Boom! At this moment, the aura on Jiling's body suddenly became violent and rose rapidly. Without the suppression of the Qingqing domain, his cultivation level was recovering. First Godly Emperor layer, second Godly Emperor layer, third Godly Emperor layer, fourth Godly Emperor layer. In a flash, Jiling's cultivation level rose to the fourth Godly Emperor layer. Before, when the Qingqing domain had just formed, Jiling's cultivation level had only reached the third Godly Emperor layer. Now, he had broken through to the third Godly Emperor layer. That kind of breakthrough speed was earth-shattering. After recovering his cultivation level, Jiling's fighting strength had reached the peak. Die! Shouted Jiling. He wanted to kill Lu Ming and the battle god Yuan in one fell swoop. Without the Qingqing domain, you'll die, shouted the battle god Yuan. A purple golden halberd appeared in his hand. One could see that the end of the battle halberd was missing a corner. However, a terrifying aura erupted from the battle halberd. The violent aura directly split apart the battle god Yuan's shockwave that was rushing over. That was the trump card of the battle god Yuan. It was also his trump card. Whoosh! The purple golden halberd turned into a huge mountain and slashed towards Jiling. At the same time, Lu Ming took out the zephyr bead. A scorching tornado swept towards Jiling. Chapter 3969. Lu Ming and battle god Yuan when used their weapons at the same time. The terrifying power of the two weapons instantly shrouded Jiling. Jiling roared and unleashed his full strength. Evil Qi soared to the sky and fought against the two weapons. However, after Lu Ming and the battle god Yuan reached the divine emperor realm, the power that they could unleash when controlling the big killing weapon was stronger. After a series of collisions, Jiling's protective Qi was forcibly broken. His body was cut by the strong wind and was almost cut in half by the purple golden halberd. Jiling's body was blasted back. Roar! Jiling roared angrily. The rich sinister aura in the pit converged toward him. His injuries were recovering rapidly. He kept roaring and his eyes were filled with murderous intent. He kept glancing at Lu Ming and the battle god Yuan with his tyrannical eyes. You, too, die. Jiling roared intermittently, then he turned around and left, turning into a stream of Qi. In a flash, the space was broken, and he disappeared in a blink of an eye. His speed was amazing. After all, Lu Ming and the battle god Yuan's cultivation were only at the first level of the divine emperor realm. They could only injure Jiling by relying on the big killer weapon. However, in terms of speed, they were far inferior. They could only watch Jiling escape. Wait until my cultivation improves, then I will kill you with one hand, battle god Yuan said disdainfully. Then, he looked at Lu Ming with a strong battle intent. Mu Yun, you changed your appearance because you don't want others to know. I won't tell anyone, but our battle is not over yet. We will fight next time. Battle god Yuan transmitted his voice to Lu Ming. Then, he turned around and went down the dark pit demon mountain. He had already obtained a wisp of evil Qi, so he didn't need to stay here. Lu Ming smiled and didn't care. Why would he be afraid of others' challenge? To be honest, battle god Yuan was a very good opponent. Lu Ming had never met such an opponent. Having an opponent was a kind of pressure and also a kind of motivation that could promote him to keep moving forward. If you want to fight, I am always ready. Lu Ming replied with a voice transmission and then went down the mountain from another direction. The purpose of this trip was finally completed. The ancient secret skill left by the bone demon and a wisp of evil Qi with spirituality. Although the process was quite tortuous, it was a complete success. The next step was to go to the city of heaven, where the dreamy heavenly palace was located. The dreamy heavenly palace was the real core of the dreamy heavenly palace. It was difficult for outsiders to go there. The Dream Sky City was an incomparably majestic and boundless ancient city. It was suspended in the starry sky of the universe, with the sun, moon, and stars revolving around it. One could see how huge it was. Lu Ming spent several months before he arrived at the Dream Sky City. He could not help marveling at the ancient city from afar. The dreamy heavenly palace was surrounded by the sun, moon, and stars. These sun, moon, and stars actually formed a formation. Once it was attacked, the astral formation would activate and unleash a devastating attack. In addition, the dreamy heavenly palace was shrouded in layers of multicolored light, which looked like a dream. There was only one gate in the dreamy heavenly palace. Lu Ming flew toward the gate. In front of the gate, there was a 300-million-mile-long avenue that extended all the way to the gate. From afar, one could see countless creatures walking on the avenue. Most of these creatures were in human form, but there were also many who revealed their true form. Some were as small as ants, and some were as big as mountains. Fortunately, the avenue was big enough to accommodate these creatures no matter how big they were. "It's really spectacular," Lu Ming exclaimed. When he approached the path, he felt a strong pressure acting on his body. In the dreamy heavenly palace, one couldn't fly, so Lu Ming could only land on the avenue and walk into the dreamy heavenly palace. If it was an ordinary person, they wouldn't be able to walk 300 million miles even if they walked for a lifetime. Of course, they weren't ordinary people. Lu Ming took a step forward and moved 100 miles away. His figure was like a ray of light as he walked toward the gate. In fact, the others seemed to be walking, but their speed wasn't slow at all. Therefore, it looked normal. Even so, Lu Ming walked for a full day before he walked through the avenue and entered the city gate. Behind the city gate, there wasn't any avenue, but a huge platform. The platform was very high, and standing on the platform, one could see the bustling streets and various ancient buildings in the distance. Come, come. The dream sail to the Aquamoon Heavenly Palace. Only 10 Emperor-level divine pills per person. Go to the dream sail to the number 1 auction house in Sky City. 15 Emperor-level divine pills per person. Those who want to register for the Heavenly Soldier competition, go to the registration area. 10 Emperor-level divine pills per person. As soon as Lu Ming stepped onto the platform, he heard shouts and shouts. It turned out that on the platform, there were sailboats floating in the air. "So, we need to ride these sailboats." Lu Ming was enlightened. Indeed, the Dream Sky City was too big, and one couldn't fly. It would take a long time to go from one place to another, no matter how fast one was. And this kind of dream sail could fly at an extremely fast speed. Therefore, most people would ride this kind of dream sail. However, the price was too expensive, starting from Emperor-level divine pills. Emperor-level divine pellets were useful for divine emperors. Moreover, there were 10 of them at once. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to afford it. But here, one had to ride it even if they didn't want to. If they walked, they would die. Lu Ming stepped forward and came under one of the dream sails. The dream sail was very big. At least 10,000 people could ride it at once. "Brother, you're too big. Can you please shrink a little?" Under the dream sail, a bearded man said to an elephant whose body was as white as jade. This elephant was 10,000 zhang tall, so it was too big to fit into the dream sail. "Okay." The white jade elephant nodded and shrunk into its human form. Then, it handed over 10 Emperor-level divine pills and boarded the dream sail. "Little brother, 10 Emperor-level divine pills. Go to the registration area of the Heavenly Soldier." Then, the bearded middle-aged man stopped Lu Ming. "Here." Lu Ming took out 10 Emperor-level divine pills and gave them to the man. Lu Ming had killed many divine emperors, so he still had some Emperor-level divine pills on him. "Haha, please, I hope you pass the assessment and become a Heavenly Soldier." The burly man with a full beard smiled and let Lu Ming board the dream sail. After boarding the dream sail, Lu Ming found a place to sit down and closed his eyes to rest. Set sail. About 2 hours later, a shout came out, and the dream sail was covered with a layer of white light. With a swoosh, it rushed out, 100 times faster than walking. Chapter 3970. Lu Ming stood up and watched from the side of the dream sail. On the dream sail, the scenery of Dream Sky City was unobstructed. He could see that the streets below were crisscrossing, and it was very prosperous. No one was flying in the sky. There were only other dream sails sailing in the sky like giant birds, going back and forth to various parts of Dream Sky City. That's the angel race. And the one full of blood chi is the blood race, the Buddha race. Lu Ming swept his gaze across and saw various clans on the streets below. He even saw many of the top 10 clans. Dream Sky City was indeed the heavenly city of the Dream Sky Heavenly Palace. It gathered the elites of various races in the universe, and many of them permanently settled in Dream Sky City. On the dream sail, many people, like Lu Ming, had come to Dream Sky City for the first time. They stood on the dream sail and looked around curiously. The dream sail was very fast, but Dream Sky City was just too big. Even with the dream sail's speed, it still took an entire day to reach the registration area for the Divine Soldier. The registration place was in front of a majestic palace. At the moment, it was already crowded. There were no less than thousands of people. In front of the palace, there were 9 light doors. In front of the doors, some elites in armor were checking and registering. "We've arrived at the registration place. You can disembark," the bearded man said. Everyone nodded and jumped down from the dream sail. They landed in front of the palace, then walked to the 9 light doors and began to line up. Lu Ming also walked to a light door and began to line up. At the same time, he looked around. A young man walked up to a few experts in armor and registered their names. Then, he took out a storage ring. A strand of baleful chi flew out from the storage ring. It was a baleful chi that had its own spirituality. One of the armored experts nodded and put away the wisp of baleful chi. Then another person took out a jade tablet and handed it to the young man. "Enter the light door and be tested," a burly man in armor said. These armored men were the heavenly soldiers of the heavenly palace. The young man seemed a little nervous and hesitant. In the end, he clenched his teeth and stepped into the glowing door. Wong. When this person walked into the door of light suddenly emitted a dazzling light. "How dare you? How dare you deceive the heavenly palace? You deserve death," a heavenly soldier shouted. His aura was wild and his killing intent was like a knife. "I'm innocent. The baleful chi was indeed obtained by me." The young man's expression changed drastically as he roared. "Presumptuous! How dare you quibble? These 9 light gates were created by the heavenly palace, who was proficient in the art of divination. As long as you step into the light gate, as long as you don't personally obtain the evil chi, the light gate can be divined. You've committed a crime upon a crime," a heavenly soldier shouted. Plop. The young man knelt down. His face was deathly pale as he shouted, "Please spare my life. Master, please spare my life. I was confused for a moment. It's my first offense. Please spare my life. The heavenly palace has already informed us, but you still want to deceive the heavenly palace. Unforgivable," shouted the heavenly soldier coldly. Swish. When the young man saw that the heavenly soldier wasn't going to spare him, he turned into a beam of light and ran away. Without a doubt, this young man was also a top genius. He had already broken through to the 3rd godly emperor layer. He was extremely strong. He used his full strength and his speed was astonishing. "You want to die," said a middle-aged heavenly soldier coldly. He raised his spear and threw it at the young man. Whoosh! A spear silhouette streaked across the sky and moved as fast as lightning towards the young man. Shouted the young man furiously. He used all his strength to resist, but it was all in vain. His attacks and defenses couldn't withstand a single attack from the middle-aged heavenly soldier. Slash! The young man's head was pierced through and he died. "Someone come and take him away," said the middle-aged heavenly soldier coldly. Someone immediately came and took the young man's corpse away. How strong! Many people were astonished. That middle-aged heavenly soldier looked ordinary, but he was terrifyingly strong. He was at least at the top of the godly emperor layer. "I heard that when one first becomes a celestial soldier, the celestial palace will bestow rewards. Everyone will reap great benefits and their strength will soar. In addition, By participating in various missions in the Celestial Soldier, one can obtain large amounts of rewards and rapidly increase one's strength. Indeed, the Heavenly Palace has the best resources in the universe. No other clan can compete with them. I can't wait. Many people were astonished, but at the same time, they were whispering to each other. The Heavenly Palace had unimaginable resources. If you practiced in the Heavenly Palace, your cultivation would increase quickly. That was why so many geniuses wanted to join the Heavenly Palace and become heavenly soldiers. Even the top 10 clans had many geniuses who could become heavenly soldiers. That was because even the top 10 clans did not have as many resources as the Heavenly Palace. I'll say it one last time. If you didn't get the Darking Chi by yourself, but bought it, or given it by someone else, or even an elder, please leave now. The Heavenly Palace will not pursue the matter. However, if you're discovered after registration, you'll be sentenced to death, shouted the middle-aged heavenly soldier. Many people were astonished, but no one left. In fact, there were very few people who thought they were lucky. That was because history had already taught them a lesson. No one could deceive the Heavenly Palace. Those who thought they were lucky and tried to get away with it all ended up in a miserable state. Every time, there were very few people who thought they were lucky. Most of the time, there was no one. This time, one of them was discovered. He was lucky. The registration process continued, and no one was found who tried to get away with it. Bone Demon, can that gate find out that I have a forbidden body? Lu Ming secretly asked Bone Demon. A forbidden body was a great enemy of the Heavenly Palace. If it was discovered, Lu Ming would be in trouble. To be honest, sneaking into the Heavenly Palace was like entering a tiger's den. Lu Ming was still a little nervous, although Fei Huang told him that it was fine. Don't worry. A forbidden body can't be seen on the surface. Even the forbidden power can't be seen. On the surface, it's no different from other divine powers. Only those who have come into contact with your taboo energy will be able to sense it. So, don't worry, said Bone Demon. Lu Ming nodded and felt slightly relieved. Soon, it was Lu Ming's turn. What's your name? Where are you from? Which force are you from? Asked a heavenly soldier. Mu Yun, from the Fengdu sword sect of the Iron Sea Star Zone, replied Lu Ming. He's Mu Yun? When the surrounding people heard Lu Ming's name, they were all shocked and looked at Lu Ming curiously. Because of Ling Yue, Lu Ming could be said to have become a famous person in the universe. Chapter 3971. Many people were secretly sizing up Lu Ming, especially some of the young geniuses. Their eyes were filled with intense hostility. Ling Yue was one of the 20 pearless of the universe and the princess of the elf clan. There were many people pursuing her, including countless divine emperor realm geniuses. And now, the relationship between Lu Ming and Ling Yue had been made public. Who knew how many people wanted to make a move against him? Lu Ming looked down, as if he didn't care. There was nothing he could do. Ever since he had Ling Yue as his fiancée, he had expected this to happen. However, Lu Ming had never been afraid of challenges from others. If he really couldn't avoid it, then so be it. He would just treat it as a form of training. However, the heavenly soldier was expressionless, as if he had never heard of Lu Ming's name. He took out a jade tablet and registered it. I hope the information you said is true. You should know that the Heavenly Palace will thoroughly investigate your background. The heavenly soldier reminded him. Of course. Lu Ming nodded. This was the reason why he joined the Fengdu sword sect. Where's the spiritual baleful Yin Qi? Take it out. Another heavenly soldier said. Lu Ming took out the baleful Yin Qi. The other party checked it for a moment and kept it. Then, the heavenly soldier from before handed the jade tablet to Lu Ming. Enter the Gate of Light. Only by passing through the Gate of Light can you proceed to the next round of the examination. The heavenly soldier said. Lu Ming took the jade token and stepped into the Door of Light. There was no reaction from the Door of Light. Since there was no reaction, he had passed. You've registered successfully. Come with me. Behind the Gate of Light, another heavenly soldier said to Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded and followed the heavenly soldier into the palace. After passing through the palace, there was a huge plaza behind it. The plaza was huge. At this moment, there were already a lot of people in the plaza. You've only registered successfully. If you want to become a heavenly soldier, you still need to go through a few rounds of assessment. I don't know what the specific assessment is yet. Just wait here. When it's time for your assessment, someone will naturally call you. The heavenly soldier said. Thank you. Lu Ming cupped his fists. The celestial soldier nodded and left. Lu Ming found a random place to sit down and wait. Not long after, an old man in a snow-white robe and a jade crown flew over. The heavenly official is here. Looks like someone else has a mission. Someone whispered. Many people looked at the sky official. Every time the sky official came, he would announce a few people to take part in the examination. Not everyone would participate in the examination together. Furthermore, the contents of the examination would be different for many people. Meng Jia of the Iron Armor clan, Shun Fei of the Feiyuan clan. The 12 of you, follow me to participate in the assessment. Sky official wrote. Immediately, 12 people stepped forward. The majority of these 12 people were young, but there were also a few middle-aged burly men or old men. The sky official waved his hand, and a beam of light swept up the 12 people and left. In Dream Sky City, the heavenly officials and heavenly soldiers were naturally able to fly. If they couldn't fly, how could they carry out their mission? The sky official took 12 people away. Not long after, another heavenly official arrived and took away 12 people. In this way, another heavenly official would come and take away a group of people. Not all 12 people were taken away. Sometimes, 15 people were taken away, sometimes over 100. The number was uncertain. Lu Ming roughly understood that the Heavenly Palace's examination was divided into many missions. Each group of people would complete one mission. Lu Ming waited patiently. 2 days passed in the blink of an eye. The people in the square came and went, and came again. Finally, Iron Sea Star Zone's Fengdu Sword Sect's Mu Yun, Ziying Race's Zi Ming, the 12 of you, follow me to complete the examination. A white-haired heavenly official announced. It's finally my turn. Lu Ming smiled and stepped forward. 11 other people also stepped forward. The white-haired heavenly official waved his hand, and a beam of energy swept up Lu Ming's group and took them in a certain direction. On the way, Lu Ming's group of 12 people looked at each other. Among them, there were 7 young people who looked like they were in their 20s. There were men and women. Among the other 5, there were 3 middle-aged men and 2 old men. Their cultivation levels aren't low. Lu Ming looked at them and realized that their cultivation levels were very high. Apart from him, the weakest one had the strength of the 3rd godly emperor layer. The strongest one was an old man. He didn't release his chi, so he couldn't guess. But he had to have the strength of the 6th godly emperor layer. He had the lowest cultivation level, the 1st godly emperor layer. The others glanced at Lu Ming, but they just glanced at him and didn't pay him any attention. Even though Mu Yun was famous in the universe, the real strong cultivators didn't take him seriously. After all, back then, Lu Ming had only been a quasi-emperor layer cultivator. Now, it seemed that even though Lu Ming had broken through to the godly emperor layer, he had just broken through to the 1st godly emperor layer. They weren't ordinary people, so they didn't take a cultivator of the 1st godly emperor layer seriously. They glanced at each other and tried to remember each other's faces. After a short time, they arrived in front of a wormhole. They stepped into the wormhole, and in the next moment, they arrived on a planet with life. All right, now I'll announce your tasks, said the sky official. Everyone felt a chill in their hearts and began to listen attentively. This is the group of Flying Cloud Star Area. The group of Flying Cloud Star Area is controlled by 2 influential groups, the Flying Stars Sect and the Moon Cloud Pavilion. However, the Heavenly Palace has found out that the Flying Stars Sect doesn't respect the Heavenly Palace. They might be in contact with rebels. Therefore, your task is to help the Moon Cloud Pavilion destroy the Flying Stars Sect, said the sky official. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Everybody was astonished. Their task was to destroy a powerful, influential group of the universe. What made them even more confused was that the reason for destroying the Flying Stars Sect was that they didn't respect the Heavenly Palace and were in contact with rebels. What was a rebel? Wasn't the primitive universe under the control of the Heavenly Palace? It was the era of the Heavenly Palace. The Heavenly Palace was supreme. How could there be rebels? It seemed like there were many secrets in the primitive universe. Lu Ming's eyes flashed and thoughts flashed across his mind. He knew some secrets. The Heavenly Palace was not without enemies, such as the Life Spirit Heavenly Court, the Dragon Clan, and especially the family of Xian Yinqing's previous life, the Flying Phoenix Clan, and others seemed to be enemies. Who was the rebel the sky official was talking about? Was it the Tang clan that supported Xian Yinqing? Or was it someone else? Master Sky Official, how strong is the Flying Star sect? What's the cultivation level of their strongest cultivator? Asked an old man respectfully. I know you want to ask. The Flying Stars sect is quite strong. The Patriarch is a cultivator of the 9th Godly Emperor layer. Below him, there are more than a dozen cultivators of the 8th Godly Emperor layer, said the Sky Official. Chapter 3972. The Sky Official's words caused everyone to pale. There are cultivators of the 9th Godly Emperor layer. There are more than a dozen cultivators of the 8th Godly Emperor layer, shouted a few people. The others pulled long faces. How could they kill a cultivator of the 8th or 9th Godly Emperor layer? How could they kill him? Lu Ming was the only one who looked calm. I didn't ask you to go to the Flying Star sect and destroy them. I asked you to help the Yunhua Pavilion destroy the Flying Star sect. The Yunhua Pavilion isn't much weaker than the Flying Star sect. They also have cultivators of the 9th Godly Emperor layer, said the Tian official. Only then did everyone relax. The Yunhua Pavilion also had cultivators of the 9th Godly Emperor layer. You have 1 year. You must complete the mission within 1 year. Also, only 2 of the 12 of you can pass the test. The 2 of you who have contributed the most and performed the best will pass the test. The rest will be eliminated, said the Tian official. Everybody's expression changed drastically. The 12 of them had to destroy the Flying Star sect within 1 year. Even if they managed to destroy the Flying Star sect, only the 2 who had contributed the most would be able to finish the task. That way, the task would be much more difficult. Not only did they have to destroy the Flying Star sect, but they also had to compete with each other. The 12 of them glanced at each other. Some of them looked murderous. Nobody knew what they were thinking. All right, I'll take you to the Yunhua Pavilion. Heavenly Official Path then led Lu Ming and the 12 of them to break the void and leave. The Sky Official's cultivation base was terrifyingly profound, surpassing the God Emperor level at the very least. With the 12 of them, he was able to break through the void. Before long, they arrived at an enormous planet. As soon as they arrived, a group of people flew out to welcome them. Welcome, emissaries from the Heavenly Palace. A middle-aged man, leading a group of people, bowed and saluted. That middle-aged man's chi was extremely powerful. He was the leader of the Yunhua Pavilion, a cultivator of the 9th Godly Emperor layer. However, that cultivator of the 9th Godly Emperor layer was extremely respectful in front of the Sky Official, like a little puppy. The Tian official said expressionlessly, "Take these 12 people with you. They'll help you destroy the Flying Star sect." Roger. The Pavilion Master of the Pavilion of Clouds and Rain said respectfully. The Sky Official nodded. He turned around and took a step forward. The void rippled and his figure disappeared. Everyone, please follow me and stay here. We'll discuss the matter of dealing with the Flying Star sect another day. Of course, he was not as respectful as he was to the Sky Official, but he was still polite. Everyone followed the Yunhua Pavilion Master and the others into the planet below. They arrived at a palace and stayed there temporarily. Yunhua Pavilion, in the Great Meeting Hall. The Pavilion Master of the Yunhua Pavilion and some other upper echelons of the Yunhua Pavilion were gathered together for a meeting. Leader, the Heavenly Palace only sent 12 people. The strongest one among them only has the strength of the 7th Godly Emperor layer. Most of them have the strength of the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and even the 1st Godly Emperor layer. How could they destroy the Flying Star sect? Indeed, I don't think we can defeat a cultivator of the 8th Godly Emperor layer. We've been fighting against the Flying Star sect for a while now, and we're at a disadvantage. Many people in the Yunhua Pavilion were complaining. Don't underestimate those people, said the Pavilion Master of the Yunhua Pavilion. Everybody quieted down. The Heavenly Palace is recruiting celestial soldiers now. Those people must have signed up for the exam, said the pavilion master of the Unue Pavilion. Leader, you mean there are some incredible geniuses among them? Asked someone. That's right. Anyone who signs up for the Heavenly Soldier Assessment is not weak. Even the older ones have strong combat strength. Cultivation is not the only criterion. Since the Heavenly Palace sent them here, they must think that there is someone who can help us destroy the Flying Stars sect. Otherwise, they would not have sent them here. The Heavenly Palace must have paid special attention to the people they send. Don't underestimate any of those 12 people, said the pavilion master of the Unue Pavilion. Yes, everybody nodded. In the Unue Pavilion, Lu Ming took out some weapons and gave them to Cho Chio. Cho Chio had a huge appetite. Every once in a while, it would eat a batch of weapons or high-level metal materials. After feeding Cho Chio, Lu Ming sat down cross-legged and focused on cultivating. He had just broken through to the Divine Emperor realm. He had to make the best use of his time to stabilize his cultivation. The day passed quickly. On the second day, the pavilion master of the Unue Pavilion summoned them for a meeting. Everyone, the strength of the Unue Pavilion and the Flying Star sect are about the same. In terms of high-end combat strength, we are slightly weaker than them. However, I believe that with everyone's help, we will be able to destroy the Flying Star sect very quickly, said the pavilion master of the Unue Pavilion. Everybody nodded. They knew that the pavilion master of the Unue Pavilion was just being polite. As expected, the pavilion master of the Unue Pavilion continued. The main battlefield between the Unue Pavilion and the Flying Star sect will be the Flying Cloud Continent. That is a continent floating in the void. However, now is not the time for a decisive battle. We need to take over a few important planets of the Flying Star sect. These places all have wormholes. Once we take over these places, the Flying Star sect's flexibility will be greatly reduced. What do you want us to do, Pavilion Master? Asked an old man from the group of 12. He had the strength of the 7th Godly Emperor layer. He was the strongest cultivator among Lu Ming's group. All right, I will split you up. You will go to those important places and cooperate with the Unue Pavilion. We will take those places, said the pavilion master of the Unue Pavilion. Everybody nodded. They had no objections. Very quickly, the pavilion master of the Unue Pavilion divided them into 6 groups of 2, and they went to 6 different places. Lu Ming and a young man in blue clothes were in the same group. The young man glanced at Lu Ming indifferently. He didn't take Lu Ming seriously. On the contrary, he was happy. Lu Ming was in the same group as him, so Lu Ming couldn't compete with him. He had heard of Mu Yun. Even though Mu Yun was a terrifying cultivator, he wasn't weak either. He had already broken through to the top of the 4th Godly Emperor layer. He could fight against ordinary cultivators of the 5th Godly Emperor layer. Lu Ming only had the strength of the 1st Godly Emperor layer, so he didn't take him seriously. After splitting up, there were naturally people who would lead them out. Lu Ming and the others were going to a place called Kurendong Planet. The Unue Pavilion had an army there. Lu Ming and the young man in blue clothes went through a wormhole and arrived on Kurendong Planet. On the way, Lu Ming learned the young man's name. His name was Su Yi, and he was from the Heavenly Eagles clan. The Heavenly Eagles clan was ranked 137th in the list of the 10,000 clans of ancient desolation. Su Yi was also a famous genius of the Heavenly Eagles clan. He was a godly emperor and could fight against cultivators of higher cultivation levels. He was extremely talented. Chapter 39:73. As soon as Lu Ming and Su Yi arrived at Kurendong Planet, they saw a general in armor leading an army to welcome them. The two of them were welcomed into a military camp. Brother Su, please have a seat. The general in armor was called Brother Hao. He was very polite to Su Yi and led him to the seat of honor. However, he was much colder to Lu Ming. Su Yi had the strength of the top of the 4th Godly Emperor layer, and he looked very young. He was definitely a genius. Such a person would be very beneficial to Kurendong Planet. However, Lu Ming was only at the 1st level of the Divine Emperor realm. In their opinion, he was dispensable. He would not be of any help to the battle on Kurendong Planet. He didn't understand why the heavenly palace had sent a cultivator of the first godly emperor layer to Kuan Dong planet. He was just a hindrance. Of course, he could only suppress these doubts and dissatisfaction in his heart. He did not dare to voice them out. However, he could not help but express his dissatisfaction through his actions. For example, he was not very enthusiastic towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming noticed that, but he didn't take it to heart. He just sat down and drank. "Brother Hao, what's the situation on Kuan Dong planet?" Sui casually sat at the head of the table and asked. Then, a beautiful maid poured wine for him. The east side of Kuan Dong planet is occupied by the Yunhua Pavilion and the west side is occupied by the Fei Xing sect. But the most important wormhole is in the west. We've attacked it a few times, but we haven't been able to take it, said Brother Hao. "What kind of strong cultivators do they have?" asked Sui. "They have 2 cultivators of the top of the 5th godly emperor layer. They're very strong. We only have 2 cultivators of the top of the 5th godly emperor layer. We don't have the advantage. The other strong cultivators are fighting everywhere, especially in Feiyun. It's difficult to send them out," said Brother Hao. "Only the top of the 5th godly emperor layer? That's easy." After Sui heard this, he revealed a confident expression. Brother Hao's eyes twinkled. "Do you have a solution?" "Of course, if they only have the strength of the 5th godly emperor layer, I'm strong enough to fight against them," Sui said proudly. Brother Hao was amazed and said, "Prince Sui only has the strength of the 4th godly emperor layer, but he can compete with cultivators of the 5th godly emperor layer. Haha, I wouldn't dare. Of course, that's not enough. I have a secret treasure that can injure cultivators of the 5th godly emperor layer. With that, I can kill cultivators of the 5th godly emperor layer as easily as killing chickens." Sui said he didn't dare, but he looked very proud of himself. At the same time, he said he had a trump card which could only be used once. It could injure cultivators of the 5th godly emperor layer. Hearing that, the smile on Brother Hao's face grew wider. At the side, the others also flattered Sui. From beginning to end, they had neglected Lu Ming. A cultivator of the 1st godly emperor layer couldn't do anything. Besides, he couldn't become a celestial soldier, so why should they care? It's not the right time to attack. We'll wait for the pavilion master's order. As soon as the pavilion master gives the order, we'll immediately launch an attack and take down the entire Kuan Dong planet in one fell swoop," Brother Hao said. Sui nodded and ended the meeting. Lu Ming didn't say anything. He just sat there and slowly sipped his wine. To be honest, the wine was really good. Lu Ming couldn't help but drink a few more cups. Brother Hao and the others disdained Lu Ming even more. They thought that Lu Ming knew that he was weak, so he didn't say anything. After the meeting, Lu Ming went back to his room and sat down cross-legged. A bone pearl appeared in his hand. That bone pearl was the container that Guillemot used to seal the ancient secret skills and other secret skills of the demon path. Before, Lu Ming was in a hurry, so he didn't have time to open it. Now, he had time to open it. According to Guillemot's instructions, Lu Ming used a special talisman to inject it into the bone pearl. After a short time, the bone pearl emitted dazzling lights. Then, talismans flew out of it. There were at least a few hundred talismans. Most of them were black talismans, but one of them was black gold in color. It was very eye-catching. Lu Ming grabbed the black gold jade talisman with his hand and sank his spiritual sense into it. One of the 3,000 ancient secret skills, the Great Demonic Sword Technique. Lu Ming whispered, but to be honest, he was a little disappointed. The Great Demonic Sword Technique was also an offensive secret skill. However, Lu Ming already had the Great Shattering Technique and the Great Godwind Technique. Another one wouldn't be of much help to him. However, he still had to cultivate. No matter what kind of secret skill it was, Lu Ming had to cultivate it. This was to lay the foundation for his future. However, it wasn't easy to cultivate the ancient secret skill. Lu Ming planned to find a chance to cultivate it later. Lu Ming memorized the Great Demonic Sword Technique and then looked at the other secret skills. There were more than 300 demon secret skills. Moreover, Lu Ming hadn't cultivated many demon secret skills before. Therefore, there were 300 demon secret skills that Lu Ming hadn't cultivated before. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He collected all of them and would cultivate them when he had time. After collecting them, Lu Ming took out some elvenwood hearts and began to absorb them to strengthen his foundation. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. After a month of cultivation, Lu Ming's cultivation level was completely stabilized. He had completely stabilized at the first godly emperor layer. Compared to when I just broke through, my strength has increased by 50%. Lu Ming smiled. When he fought against Enjioling in the dark pit demon mountain, he had just broken through and his strength hadn't reached the peak yet. Now, his cultivation level had completely stabilized and his strength had reached the peak. He was 50% stronger than when he was in the dark pit demon mountain. Now, he was confident that he wouldn't be so embarrassed if he fought against Enjioling again. He alone was enough to fight against him. He didn't need to team up with fighting god Yuan 1. After stabilizing his cultivation level, Lu Ming planned to start cultivating the demon secret skills. However, at this time, Lu Ming received news from Brother how that they were about to launch an attack. He could only cultivate the secret skills later. Lu Ming left his residence and went to the barracks with Su Yi to set off with the army. This time, we have the help of the emissary of the Heavenly Palace. We will definitely destroy the Flying Star sect. Now, let's go and take Kuandong Star. Brother Hao shouted. Victory! At least 100,000 soldiers shouted. Swoosh! The 100,000 soldiers were all experts. They turned into rainbow lights and flew to the west of Kuandong Star. It was a very spectacular sight. They were very fast and soon arrived at the west of Kuandong Star. However, there was a strong divine light flickering in front of them, illuminating the starry sky. In front of them, there was a large army blocking their way. This army was naturally the army of the Flying Star sect. They had already known that the Yunhua Pavilion was about to attack and had made defensive preparations in advance. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.